This chart shows GDPR fines surpassing 5.88 billion euros by 2025. Notice the colors. Penalties shifted from exclusively targeting big tech to hitting telecom, retail, HR, and AI. Initially, privacy felt theoretical, but this steep curve shows the abrupt shift into aggressive penalties. Many business owners still operate under the dangerous assumption that regulators are exclusively hunting megacorporations. In reality, regulatory agencies are now issuing severe fines to mid-sized retail brands, regional telecoms, and local delivery apps for their everyday operational practices. This posture forces companies to completely rethink how they manage marketing tracking lists and store their internal employee records. Today's enforcement landscape creates an immediate global financial threat for companies in every sector, far beyond the tech giants of Silicon Valley. Managing this threat is difficult because the enforcement architecture varies drastically depending on where your company operates. The European Union relies on independent watchdog agencies to oversee compliance and issue fines. California takes a different approach with the CCPA, utilizing a dedicated consumer protection agency to monitor violations of consumer rights. Indonesia represents a third distinct framework. Rather than setting up independent watchdogs, they assign enforcement directly to the Government Ministry of Communications and Informatics. You know you must comply with the laws in your operating regions, but finding the exact scale of response your specific business needs is difficult. Overinvesting in heavy enterprise-grade architecture will needlessly bleed a smaller company's operating budget. On the other hand, a large company that underinvests in its systems leaves itself exposed to fatal vulnerabilities. Choosing the wrong tier of compliance is a critical business error. You either burn your capital on unnecessary software, or you invite revenue-crippling fines. Let's look at Tier 1. This baseline is required for website owners, local e-commerce shops, and agencies who need coverage but have limited budgets and time. The required action here is deploying automated consent management platforms, or CMPs, to handle your cookie banners and keep your privacy policies dynamically updated. Legally, you must ensure that users can refuse non-essential cookies exactly as easily as they can accept them. When companies hide their reject all buttons or require multiple clicks to opt out, the penalties are severe. Google and Facebook received a combined €210 million fine in France for making cookie refusal too complex. The trade-off for Tier 1 is highly favorable for small operators. It is fast, heavily automated, and inexpensive to implement for baseline legal coverage. However, a compliant cookie gator provides zero legal protection if your company mismanages the data after it enters your databases. Tier 1 is mandatory for digital survival and public trust, but it is only the front door of compliance, offering no defense against an internal audit. Tier 2 is for mid-market operators, HR directors, and B2B companies managing internal employee files, large email lists, and complex CRM systems. The required action at this tier shifts inward. You have to implement strict data minimization policies and conduct regular internal audits to actively delete unnecessary employee and customer data. Retaining inactive tracking data, building unauthorized customer profiles, or keeping overly detailed internal communications creates massive legal liabilities. Swedish retailer H&M kept excessive records on its workforce, including private details about employees' families, vacations, and medical symptoms. Regulators discovered this internal monitoring and issued a €35.3 million fine. Similarly, Grindr was fined €6.3 million in Norway for sharing private user data with third-party advertisers without explicit, informed consent. Tier 2 compliance creates serious operational friction. It slows down aggressive marketing campaigns and requires a culture shift away from collect everything to collect only what is legally necessary. For mid-market firms, existential threats rarely originate from a broken website banner. They come from internal sloppiness and whistleblowers. Tier 3 is built exclusively for enterprise compliance officers dealing with massive data infrastructure, cross-border transfers, and AI training models. At this scale, you have to abandon manual spreadsheets entirely. The requirement here is investing in AI-based data discovery platforms to automate compliance across your entire network. These platforms must continuously inventory third-party vendor risks and automate data subject access requests, which are formal requests from users demanding to view or delete the data you hold on them. The financial risks of failing at this level are catastrophic. Meta received a record-breaking €1.2 billion fine from Irish regulators for unlawfully transferring European user data to servers in the United States. Regulators are also cracking down on emerging technology. Clearview AI was fined €30.5 million by Dutch authorities for scraping facial images from the internet to build a biometric database without consent. Tier 3 demands massive financial investment, months of complex IT integration, and total cross-departmental buy-in from legal, tech, and the C-suite. For global enterprises, managing privacy manually is mathematically impossible. Automated orchestration is your only defensible shield against billion-dollar liabilities. This roadmap summarizes exactly where you need to invest your resources based on your business profile. If you are on path A as a website owner or agency, deploy an automated consent management platform immediately. Verify that your Reject All button is compliant and easily accessible. If you are on path B in the mid-market, front-end tools won't save you. You need to conduct internal audits, clean up your CRMs, and delete unnecessary data. If you are on path C, running an enterprise or AI platform, stop tracking data manually. Invest heavily in enterprise-grade data orchestration and build privacy by design into your software. Mismatching your investment to your data footprint guarantees operational failure. You will either waste your IT budget or leave your revenue exposed to regulators. Supervisory authorities across the globe are heavily staffing their enforcement teams. The volume and severity of these penalties will only increase. Building a foundational pillar of privacy within your tech architecture is now the primary way to protect both your profit margins and your public reputation.